Hi everyone, it's Amber. This episode that you're about to watch is actually the final episode of my podcast. I feel like it's kind of just an inevitable thing at this point. After the last couple of videos or episodes that I made where I had said that I was wanting to finish up the podcast and was basically done after everything that took place, it's just been a long time coming. And, yeah, that's the plan with this one. So, for the last episode, I have a friend of mine, at least when it comes to creating content. His name is Tom Hibben, and he is someone that I discovered online a while ago, which I talk a little bit about in this episode. And he's just very special to me. He was someone that I discovered around my teenage time when I was trying to discover myself a little bit more and learn about what it's like to be a kid with special needs, because at the time I was a kid with special needs. And now, as a young adult in life with the same special needs, I at least have a little bit more knowledge on how to understand myself a little bit more since watching his videos, as well as just engaging and watching with other people's stuff. So, without further ado, I hope you all enjoy this episode, and yeah, stay tuned to the end because the end is also detailed and a little bit more descriptive about what's to come in the near future. I'm not going away. Please welcome my next guest, Mr. Tom Hibben.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. So, one of the things I like to do with my podcast and when I interview people is I always like to give them a little bit of a chance before we kind of start or whatever to give a little brief introduction as to what you do, who you are, that kind of thing. So, if people want to find you, what can they do?
Well, Instagram, my name, Thomas.Hibben. I'm just a 41-year-old dad of, God, four? Yeah. Every time I say it, there's more and more kids. So ranging from 21-year-old to 6-year-old. So, and two of which are special needs, if you want to use that term. I have a 21-year-old with high functioning autism, uh, and complex ADHD with a 16-year-old, and I have ADHD, and as of about 3 weeks ago, an official autism diagnosis, which came as no shock. So I spent most of my life in EMS and emergency medicine until COVID changed my mind. So I took the time to finish a marketing degree. And now I took this photography I used to do as well and rolled that into a digital marketing firm and kind of a jack of all trades. So ADHD. So I try and keep everything rolled into one so that I never get bored. So
Yeah, I totally relate to that. I mean, I'm not doing nearly as many things as you're mentioning there, but I relate to the whole thing of like constantly wanting to keep yourself busy so that you are busy.
yeah, my kids like to joke, especially my 16 and above, a 16, 18, and 21, that I've done every job on the face of the planet. Because anytime they mention something, I'm like, oh yeah, man, I used to do that. Like from like, you know, body retrievals at funeral homes to 911
Oh God.
operator. Like, I mean, I've done, a pizza place, but I mean, so yeah, I've done just about everything. And I was like, don't mistake that for systemic poverty, although we systemic poverty is a big part of it, but it's mainly ADHD. So it's like
Yeah.
just as soon as you master one thing or you get used to it, it's like this is boring. I want to try something else. So
And it's actually such a great point to mention because like being someone with special needs myself, I definitely do have a diagnosis of ADHD. I got diagnosed basically at childbirth kind of thing. But
I can relate heavily to that. I hear about it all the time in other people where it's like you just get bored so easily with things that you want to
Hmm.
constantly try new things. And it's weird because it helps you in a way because then you get to have all kinds of experience and your foot in the door. But also at the same time too, it can get confusing because when you look back at all the things you've tried, it's like I've tried so many things,
Yeah,
but at the same time, only certain parts of what I've tried I've really dabbled into. So I
yeah,
don't really know what I'm good at yet. I just know that I've done a bunch of different things.
yeah. I had a great grandfather that I grew up with, and he would always say it's much better to be uh, have a working knowledge of everything than be really good at one thing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that really resonated because that's usually how it is. And, even as I was moving into, like, I worked in EMS for so many years, and my wife, I grew up, my mother was a touch-up artist at a photography studio when it was oil on film, like taking blemishes off with oil paints. So
Oh
my
wow.
wife, when we got married,
I
was a
had no idea
photographer.
about any of that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I know, right? It's pre-Photoshop. So like I grew up in that kind of thing. And so when my wife was like, "Hey, I'm going to start taking photos," because she worked at a portrait studio on her own, I was like, "Yeah, I could help with that." And so
Hmm.
when we were too poor really to pay anybody for marketing or websites or SEO or anything, so I was working in EMS at the ambulance station, and I just taught myself. So, and that's pretty much how I've done everything is just like, I don't want to pay for this, or like, this seems interesting. And it's like, instead of, that thing that I guess neurotypical people do where they're just like, I'm going to read about this. It's like, no, I don't want to read about it. I want to read the textbook that the person who does this for a living learns, like, so I want to know how to do it from the ground up. And I want to do it all in
Want the
for
expert to
about
tell
two
you.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's so fascinating because like when I first found you on social media, I believe I found your blog or your YouTube channel
Yeah.
originally, and it was around the time I think I was like probably in middle school around that time.
Hmm.
And I'm currently 26. I'll be 27 in January, and I am like I said, I have special needs myself, and when I was growing up, one of the things that I liked to do was to just try and educate myself as much as possible on what it is that I was going through or just like what others are talking about in
Hmm.
relation to what I'm dealing with. And lo and behold, I discovered your YouTube channel at one point, and I believe your oldest son's YouTube channel as well, which I don't
Yeah,
know if that's
probably.
still around, but I saw that at one point. And I was just like, because for those that don't know, uh, Tom's oldest son had originally become like the main theme of his blog posts because of all the special needs and stuff that he was going through. And so a lot of times people were able to follow up with what was happening if something was mentioned. And then it just kind of went down the bandwagon of each child, I guess, if I'm getting this correct, had special needs as well. And it
Yeah.
just kind of came more to the story.
Yeah. Yeah. The original, Asperger's diagnosis back in the day, anyway. I mean, we literally left the the office and we went to like a Barnes and Noble or something, and we bought like 4 or 5 books, and they all read like old school stereo instructions. There was no like, I mean, there was really not a lot of resources back then. Like, it just we were like, everything was written by doctors. And so, when I was like, I'm just gonna see if I can connect with other people and vent some frustrations, and you know uh, it just took off really fast. And that's what happened a lot, is people were just like, well, my kid does that too. And I'm like, oh. So it's like, this is like, I don't want to say like, we try not to use the word normal in this house. It's almost like a
Right,
curse
right,
word.
yeah.
But normal is gross around here. But if typical looks different for every for every spectrum. So, whenever we would, come across somebody that was like, yeah, that's how we stem, it's like, oh, okay, well, that doesn't change anything, but it definitely makes it better that that, like, I it's not, I don't know, so isolating. So we live in rural Oklahoma. So I mean, we're just outside of Oklahoma City, which is pretty good size. But as far as community and stuff like that, especially around that time, it was so much different than it is now.
What typically happens by the time that you're in middle school? How are they typically preparing you for adjusting to the different levels of schooling that you go through?
Say what now? I'm sorry.
When you get to middle school, when you transition from elementary to middle school, by
Mhm.
then, how are you typically trained to get used to what to prepare for in life, would
Yeah,
you say?
it's much different. Like from when I can remember when I was there, it was like when I was that age, they were just like, you know, there was no, I don't know, it was like almost like I can remember adults being like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get eaten alive." Like it was like a fun for them, And it's like, and then around here anyway. But like, and then from when my son, who's in his 20s, it was, I don't know, almost a kid gloves approach, and they're really trying to like, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna keep it normal for you, and then it's like, and then they got there,
Like the
and it's
exact
kind of,
opposite.
it's kind of a rough school here. Like I think that was like because I've heard so many different, like now with my youngest son anyway, he's a 16-year-old who's in high school now. It was much different. They were like, it was more realistic. But I remember when I was in middle school, you know, somebody bringing a sawed-off shotgun to school, and
Oh God.
and I can, in high school, I remember one of our administrators getting dragged down the hall and beat by one of. I mean, we were a rough school, and my class
Wow.
was not. Most of the people I went to high school, we joke either are in jail or dead, and then there's a few of us left. But and it's like so different now that it's like it's more inclusive, and it's. I mean, I guess that was a different time, but like you
It
know,
sounds it.
the preparation is definitely wildly different. Like now, it's like thankfully it's more almost textbook. They're like, this is what's going to happen, and this is how we're going to do things, or whatever. So. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know how that'll be for my youngest one. She's in first grade, so I don't know. I'm so old. I'll be so old by the time she's there. So like,
Yeah.
so
I don't even feel like I'm gonna be 27.
yeah,
Most of the time, I feel like a teenager still.
yeah,
It's funny when there's things that are adulting related that pop up. If I'm good at it, or like I'm pretty much already been trained enough to know how to do that, I'm like, oh, that's me being an adult. But otherwise,
yeah,
I'm like, my life is the same most days. I haven't really changed that much
yeah,
since I was a teenager. So the 20s are just like a label.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I can go play when I want to play. Like, and that's like I think that's
Right.
the benefit of. That's why in this part of my life anyway, like typical jobs, even if they're non-typical, like, but working for someone else, it's just, I'll do it if I have to, but working for yourself, I would rather be a little poorer working for myself and having the ability to just be like, it's a mulligan day. I'm not doing anything, or whatever, because
Mulligan
sometimes you
Day?
need
What's
that.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, just, I call it sick day. Just be like, I'm
Oh,
just not
oh,
doing
oh.
it today. I'm just not doing it today, and just be able to just pick up and go to the zoo or whatever. Like I've got our youngest one is like, we need to go ice skating, so it's like, all right, we're gonna go ice skating this week. So it's just like
I never know what this family is going to be talking about
you
ever.
don't like, yeah, you. I mean, honestly, it's almost
Even the blog
segmented.
post showed that.
It's almost segmented. It's like it's almost like three families because there's such an age difference. Like we had like my oldest two sons are from a previous marriage, but their mother,
Oh,
uh,
really? I didn't know that
yeah, their
about you.
mother left when my 18-year-old was I think he was about 3 months old.
Oh,
So
wow.
so
Okay.
the three of us were there, and then I had known Samantha, my current wife. We were friends. We grew up in the same town. It's it's a town of like I think at that time it was probably like 15,000 people. It's not huge. So but
Yeah, that's like a small
yeah,
theater.
it's not bad. It's like it's big enough now. I think it's like 25,000 people now. So it's big enough that you're not on top of each other, but small enough that most of the community. So
That's
we
good.
knew each
Yeah.
other, and so when we got together, and then had our son, uh, they all look alike. After a while, people were just like just assumed they were all, like we were like that they were hers as well. It was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
confusing because they all look the same. And then we lost our house to a house fire. Uh,
Oh my God, I
about
remember those stories.
Yeah, we've actually had two house fires over the years. One was like a condo and it burned over in us, but the big one, like she just smelled smoke and woke us all up in the middle of the night. We literally barely got out. We only had the clothes on our backs.
I remember hearing about
But
that. That
like
was
I
so
think
insane.
it was like a week after we were like staying in a spare bedroom, like trying to figure out what we were gonna do, and we thought my wife was stressed out because of the fire. I came
Yeah.
home. She had a pregnancy test and was like, oh, so, you know, we were
Everything
pregnant
is
with our
insane
daughter.
right away.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there was like, so there's like a right at 10-year difference between, there's like, my youngest son who's 16 and then the 6-year-old. So we basically started
Yeah.
all over again.
Yeah.
So, uh,
I
so
remember
it's
you
almost
guys
like,
being I remember you guys literally being like, "What do we do for Christmas? Vintage or normal? I don't know what's going on."
yeah,
Like
no.
it's
And I
so
mean,
confusing.
you throw the fact that I'm Jewish and she's Methodist, and we're both pretty middle of the road anyway.
Yeah.
So, and then the teenagers, they're going off and they want to do their own thing, but then now we have a 6-year-old who's like, what's Santa bringing? So it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it really is like we do two of everything really. It's like, you guys want to come ice skating? And they're like, no, God, that does not sound like fun at all. It's like,
Yeah.
but hey, okay, let's put her with grandma and we'll go see a movie or something. So it's like they all like to hang out around the house together and watch like old movies and stuff like that. But as far as like, yeah, like what are we gonna do this week? It's always usually like a double dip, something something
Yeah,
younger and
yeah.
then something older. So uh, it's kind of it's a good time, but it's weird. So
I don't know anything about that life because I'm an only child actually,
yeah.
so I don't have any siblings, and I only live with one of my parents. So I'm like the total black sheep of this whole story,
Yeah.
but I get it to an extent. Like during my earliest years of life, I probably say like from single digits to like preteen years was when I did the most amount of like getting out of the house and traveling and doing things and that kind of stuff. And now, from like my teenage years on into my late 20s now, I kind of just focused on school and therapy and getting my head straight.
Hmm.
And now, as a late 20s person, but passable for like 18 at the oldest, maybe
Yeah,
16
yeah.
the youngest. I'm like, I just do my thing and I'm able to now, but I'm trying to navigate the awkwardness of that because it's like, how do I do that, but also know that I have to be an adult?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's always weird when you like, you know, you come to that point where you're like, you know, do do I even like what I'm doing right now? So it's
Yeah,
like, but at the same time, I still have to pay rent, or or I still have to pay a car payment or whatever. So it's like, it doesn't really matter if I like it, but I need to figure something out. So
yeah,
it's a it's a weird. I don't know. I still do it every few years, so I'm like, you just like stop and reevaluate kind of thing. Like what needs to change is like because if you know, I've burnt out several times over the years, and not like it is in the movies where they're like, you know, where they're like, oh, I'm in a rut. It's like, no, like I have ADHD. It's like if I burn out, I'm gonna burn this life down, and it's like it's not gonna be fun
Yes.
for anybody, and it's gonna hurt people, and I've done that. So it's like, you know, it's like almost like a mental health check-in is like trying to make sure that you have things in place to, you know, I have to force myself to have hobbies. So even though I
Right.
have a lot of interests, it's like if it's not productive or making money or something like that, it's really hard to do. And I don't know if that's probably partly ADHD and partly how I was raised. So, you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's a chore to do self-care. So,
It really can be.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, like, we kind of got off tangent, but it's okay. But like, I was thinking about how I said earlier about how like how schools are so different now.
Mhm.
But like, I remember basically when I was in middle school, like, I they had started with, and by the time I was in middle school, it was basically like prepare yourself for high school and what that life is going to be like. Just transition from class to class, walk around, mingle, but
Mhm.
also focus on what you need to focus on, that kind of thing. And I was on an IEP at the time, so I had a TA with me all hours of the day, no matter what I was doing, and it was just very different from what's typical.
Yeah.
And then by the time that I was transferred to special ed school, it was even more atypical because I no longer had a TA with me at all for anything. And it was basically back to elementary school mentality all over again because you had the classrooms that had the teacher's assistants in there already. You were in one class all day unless you were transferred to a special or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because over time, it actually, you could see how people would join the schools,
Mhm.
and then over time, they would change and almost like level out and get back into the mentality of just like focus on yourself, be yourself, that's okay. But what was interesting, and I imagine you've noticed this yourself with your kids, but I don't want to assume. Was there a time when your kids were very uncomfortable about being themselves, and then once they did, it was like they were just free and did what they had
Oh
to do?
yeah. 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 Anytime, I think it happened at such different times
Mm,
for all of them, just because of the differences in, you know, age, I guess, situation, you know, like, but it's this. It holds true no matter what, you know. They like once there's that. I don't know if it's the normalization of it's okay to be what I thought was weird, but you know, but is actually just me.
yeah.
And then, you know, once they kick that, you know, kick that first step, you know, it's like, oh, this is going to be okay. And,
Hmm.
I can remember times when we're like, all of them, even, you know, my son that's like neurotypical, it's like, I can remember even him just being like, I don't have friend groups, you know, or like there's nobody there.
Really,
Like,
that's interesting.
and then just being like, oh, well, like, we're happy, right? Like, you know, like everything's cool. So, but it eventually happens, you know, and it happens different. Like, my 16-year-old fell in with a group of just traditional style friends, you know, that are like over at our
Mhm.
house as much as he is, you know, and they work together, you know, at the restaurant, bussing tables and stuff. You know, the 18-year-old, until he got involved in church, which
Hmm.
is, I grew up completely like devoid of religion. Like I didn't even realize like Easter was a religious holiday. We just hunted eggs, like like so. It was just, you know, whenever
You
he
did
wanted to go.
participate in that, even though you're
Uh,
Jewish.
Say what?
You did participate in the Christian holidays, even though you're Jewish.
Yeah, yeah, just but secular. So it was very, when he got to an age where it was like wanting something to do, my wife her family grew up in the Methodist church here in this town, and her mom was like the it's like not a daycare, but Mother's Day out kind of thing. So
Okay.
that was a great resource to go, and they could like they could play and socialize with the kids, and then out of all the kids, my 18-year-old Zion, he ended up going into the youth program, and they
Okay.
would keep it kind of because we always did everything. It was like we are both pretty middle of the road. It's like let's do all the holidays, let's teach them everything, and if they decide they want to incorporate religion into their life, great. If not, oh well, we're fine too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's not a huge deal for either one of us. So with him, until he got involved in like the youth there, and that's where he made a friend group, and then now
That's good.
he's he's on a at college. He's doing a dual bachelor's. He's doing film, but he's also doing religion, like general religion, because he's interested in all religions. And then he got a full ride on the religion scholarship. So and and then it looks even different for my 21-year-old who's with the high functioning autism. It's like socialization is much different for him. But as he's gotten older, and most of his friends, his close friends, he's never met. They're online, whether it be Discord or some other platform. And it's like that's his. Uh, you know, it's weird for people, especially older people, to be like, "What do you mean you don't know this person?" It's like he's like, "No, I know this
Right.
person." So
Most people
and
wouldn't even be knowing this, but this is the first time that you and I are chatting,
yeah, and it's like that's the way it
technically.
is. Like it's just, I think the when I was blogging when I was younger and stuff like that, that helped that for me because it's like it wasn't weird for that to happen because I do that, and it's like,
Yeah.
but my parents, they're like the closest thing they had to that was like a pen pal. So, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's just not the same. So it's kind of hard for them to wrap their heads around, but you know, it's like however you can get yourself there to realize that, you know, everybody else, it doesn't have to be like, I don't know. I don't know how it is other places, but definitely here it can feel like a bubble. And we made the decision about a little less than a year ago to move just outside of our little town,
Yep.
like 10 minutes north to like an acre and a half, a little bit of land, uh,
That's
just
nice.
to be close enough that we could, the kids could still go to school in the town and stuff like that, but we're not like
Yeah.
in town because we were right
Convenience
in the
and stuff.
middle, and it's the best decision ever. It's like it's quiet, there's nobody out here. It's like, like
Yeah.
there's no ambulance side. Like we used to live in the middle of town, and so the police station was on one side of us, the ambulance station was on the other. So it's like,
Oh my
so
God.
we're like, you know, it's been wonders for not only our like peace of mind, but also like the ADHD, the PTSD, the all
I
of the
was saying,
acronyms in our house have gotten
yeah.
have gotten better. So
I was about to say, like, I am so sensitive to noise too, and the funny thing is, I'm like the loudest in the house.
yeah,
But either way, I laugh at that stuff all the time because I relate so heavily. Like if I hear a car or something drive by, I don't care. But if it's like, for example, landscaping things,
yeah,
sounds from landscaping tools drives me out of my mind. We have a Roomba that goes off every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday for an hour, and the thing hits things more than it actually cleans
yeah,
things. So just being in the room wearing noise canceling headphones and doing what I want to be doing to then hearing the Roomba go up to your
yeah,
door and literally just be like
yeah,
for like 12 minutes.
yeah.
It's like, okay, why are you knocking at my door? you know? And then I
Technology,
open the
like
door and it's like Roomba has we named it Jester and it's like Jester has fallen off a cliff and he's gotten stuck on a piece of string. Like it's not even
yeah, yeah,
anything crazy. But the noise is enough that it's like it's so bad. When we got our microwave replaced, our microwave came with a mute button. And I was like, the best thing ever. So now I'm like, as long as people pay attention and nothing's catching on fire, at least we have the mute button so you don't have to hear anything.
That'd be yeah. That's a new level. I don't know. It was so fast once we moved out here. I was really surprised how fast I was like I became like I had such an aversion to traffic, and it's not even that bad, but it's like because we're outside, we're in a a more rural area now. I'm just like,
Yeah,
ugh,
yeah.
I don't want to go into town or like somebody is driving
Right.
by, and I'm like, who's in my driveway? Like, because we have a really long driveway. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've become like all of a sudden like one of those country hermits. It's like, Paul
I'm
says
like
I'm supposed
that.
to shoot anybody from the bank. So
My my bedroom, I keep this room in my house gets the most amount of sunlight because it's like on the corner of the building.
Mhm.
And both of the exterior walls, it's just a rectangular room, but both of the exterior walls have windows on them. And it's so bright on camera right now. Doesn't it look like the window blinds are open?
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah.
They're closed
That's
and they're
crazy.
facing up.
Yeah. Oh,
So
no.
like the ugly side is in.
No, you won't find that here, even in apartments. Too many tornadoes. So,
Hmm.
like,
You don't even get blinds in your apartments at where you
no, we
guys
just
are?
they just minimize like how many like usually you only have one exterior wall with windows because like even on the corners because it's like it's a pretty normal thing like at least 3 times a year like you're in your either a storm shelter or you're the most interior room of the house preparing for
Oh,
a
good
tornado.
God.
So we took a direct
I've
hit just
slept
like
through
two
tornadoes
years ago.
before.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be, we're pretty like desensitized. Our town here was hit about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and pretty much destroyed the entire town.
Oh my God.
Like, but that's like anymore, it's like, man, that's horrible. But it's just like, it happens like once every 10 years to like, it's like, it's
No, but
statistically, you're like, it's like,
it's the
all right.
craziest thing. You hear about those stories from people, and like what you're saying, it's like we're used to it, so we're just fine.
Yeah.
We just pick up our things and say, "Well, this
Yeah. Yeah.
sucks, but now we can get our new fence that we always wanted," or
Pretty
something
much. I mean,
stupid.
yeah, like, I mean, I don't know how many people are like, my sister-in-law, they lost their house. And I mean, literally, like, they had to tear it down and rebuild it. But it's like, that's why you have insurance. And then, like,
Yeah,
all of those little things that they were like, man, it sure would be nice to have like a nice patio. And it's like, well,
right.
okay. Like, so it's like, does it suck? Yes. They had to stay in an Airbnb for like 9 months or 12,
Oh
10
God.
months. But it's like, once it was over, it's like you come out of it better. Most things, if I've learned anything over the years, it's like if it doesn't kill you, it doesn't always make you stronger. That's crap. But
Yeah.
most of the time, if you come at it and just let it play out, you'll be all right afterwards. So
But I wanted to also kind of talk about because we've kind of been talking all over the place, but I wanted to talk about more along the lines of like your experiences with raising special ed kids, if you don't mind.
yeah,
Because I'm sure, even though I've said it a bunch of times, I would assume in my mind that you could tell that I'm also special ed. Could you?
it's
Before I
weird.
said
It's
anything?
it's weird. Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's very weird. I realized at some point, and I'm sure you do the same thing that you spot it out when you're
Hmm.
like like you meet somebody new or something and it's like it almost just clicks with you. It's like, oh, you're somewhere on there, aren't you? So it's like, and it's like more often than not, you're right. And I think I for so long I've attributed that to raising my own kids. And then now at this point in my life, I'm like, oh, it's because you're there too, buddy.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like, but yeah, it's always a anytime you're in a group situation or anything, I'm always like, man, you sure you like trains, or something like that. It's like you sure do know a lot about this one subject. So
Yeah.
And it's
I
like
used to
it's almost
be,
stereotypical, but it's so true though. So and it's like I'm a walking stereotype when it comes to that kind of thing. So
yeah, I used to be obsessed with pumpkins and
yeah.
Halloween. Never knew why, but I was forever. And now I don't even care to put anything out unless I want to. But yet, ironically, even though I'm filming this in December, even though I'm filming this in December, I've yet to take some stuff down. And what do I still have with me? There we
Yeah.
go. I've had this
That's
since I was like probably 4.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same thing. It's like you don't if it's like we were gonna host Thanksgiving, but my wife loves vintage Christmas, like 30s, 1940s, stuff like that. I mean, she's just loves it, especially the old
So
Santas that are
very
really
Victorian.
yeah, it's like the Santas that were made in Japan in the 30s, 40s. So it's like they're almost the more creepy the better. You know, like so.
Know nothing
Uh,
about that, or very little
anyway, like
anyway.
I mean, as even as far as like when we were hosting Thanksgiving, and she was like, "I don't care that people will be over. Let's put this out. Like we're gonna put it up. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like makes me happy. So, in fact, I mean, you can like, I mean, it lines
Well, that's not too
the
bad. That's actually
mantles
pretty.
and so
No.
they and I think the boys are the same way. They, it's just like if it makes you happy to see, just put it out. Like whatever. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
I I'll never forget. I There have been times when I've had to educate people on things and what's been going on. Like, for example, my friend Josh, who has been on the show before, he um he didn't know what stimming was
oh
at
yeah.
all. And so I had to explain that to him one day, and it was a lot, but I explained it to him anyway and wanted to teach him, and now he knows. But it was wild, and it actually brought me back because I'm still trying to get a diagnosis on my own of if I'm autistic or not. But it's a part of the journey that I've been going on. But I think about it all the time, and I'm like, I never forget. And it's so funny because it's going to be like the weirdest story on earth, but I don't mind sharing it because it's hilarious. And you're probably going to be like, oh my God, I can relate. Didn't you make a video one time where it was like how to tell if your kids have autism? And one of the things is like they'll do the same thing for hours and they don't get distracted by it.
Yeah, yeah.
I did that one year. I remember one time I was at my grandparents' house and my father and I had went to a local farm or something and got a pumpkin for Halloween. Like how ironic is it that this is the subject? And I always loved it when he would draw the face because I couldn't do it for the life of me. And so he drew the face and whatever, and I think we carved it that same day, whatever, but we had it on the countertop in my grandmother's kitchen. And I don't know why. I have no idea. But for whatever reason, I felt the need to just literally pace back and forth throughout that room for hours. And for whatever reason, that stuck with me to this day as something that I remember doing. And I'm like, random things like that just don't make sense because it's so random and atypical. But
Yeah.
at the same time, you think back on these kinds of things and you're like, what was that about? Am I just weird or am I normal? Like, what
Right,
is
right. And
happening?
that's like, yeah, it's one of those things when you see yeah, that making it like typically untypical, if that makes sense,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
uncommonly common. Whether it's we my son would spin like whether his finger or physically spin. But then when I think about it, it's like when you think back to like even the older generation in my family, like I have an aunt or with my parents or something like that. It's like whether it's like some people shake their leg. You know, some
Yep.
people, like rock a little back and forth a little bit, and it's like, so even if they're not, on that spectrum, it's like you still got to drop in there. It's like you
Yeah, we
understand.
still
It's
got
like it's
something going
calming.
on.
It's like that's not the first time we bought a weighted blanket, It's like, oh, this is nice. I don't care who you are. Like, this is great.
I
It's like
love
that
it too.
grounded feeling. So, but, I think autism, ADHD, even people I know from EMS or even military that are, PTSD,
Hmm.
uh, different
Absolutely.
kinds of stimming. Stimming helps, it's like however your brain, you know, like I said, hobbies are hard. Some people do hobbies to relax and stuff, but it's like if you can spin around in a circle or if you can pace back and forth, and that does the same thing for you, then, call it whatever you want, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it works. So, and it's, you know, yeah, I can remember, uh, him lining things up, a lot, and whether it be just in a random line or by shape and color, so,
Sorting
uh,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, but and that was like the textbook stuff, and it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But as we were going through like the stuff that nobody tells you, it's like I think when my son taught himself a fairly good understanding of hieroglyphics, well enough that he could like
That is insane. I wouldn't have
right
ever been
and
able to think of that.
when he would be like, "Let's play Hangman," it's like, "Hey, bud, I don't read ancient Egyptian. I'm sorry." Like, what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, uh, you know, and the same goes for like, I can remember when he was really young and got really into Mario,
Hmm.
and so schoolwork was obviously hard even from a young age, but it was even harder when like Mario was drawn on all of the papers and he was jumping on to the equation, and it was like,
Yeah.
you know, those are the things where those IEPs and stuff like that come into hand because, you go in and they're like, well, we can't get him to do this. It's like, well, if you look, he solved it right. I
Right.
understand
If you
Yoshi
notice,
is
he already
eating the
is.
plus symbol, it's like, but he got the answer. So it's like let's just pretend that doesn't exist. It's like that's what
Yeah.
we needed to get there. You say
Yeah.
show your work. I mean, part of his work was Luigi. So I'm sorry. That's just how we got there. What do you want? Like.
Yeah.
But and we struggled a lot like in school when my oldest one was in regular school because he was mainstreamed with pullout times for where
Pull-out
he'd go
times? What is that?
like specials. He would go like he'd go in mainstream classes, and then for when we got into middle school, high school, that would be an hour or 2 hours. That he would go to the special needs,
Oh, good.
de-stress, catch up, stuff like that. But other than that, you know, kind of he was involved in the decision, and we was like, okay, you're gonna go mainstream. That's fine, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll just reevaluate. But uh, like some of the struggles with that were like, if we do a math paper one day and I understand it and I get a good grade on it, and then the next day or the next week she's like, "Let's do this. It's a review." I don't need to review. I showed you I know how to do that already. I'm not doing that. And
Right. Yeah.
it's like, and now I'm talking to the principal. That's great. I think we were good until I think we transitioned to online high school in for him in junior year, and
Hmm.
because it was just a struggle once high school hit, to not really the workload, just the mix of everything. Like you said, the class to class, the stuff like that. We
Yeah.
didn't have and still don't here the resources like larger schools, even Oklahoma City, which is a pretty good size. I mean, they don't have the greatest resources. So there are no TAs. There are no, I mean, there is a room but not a separate facility or anything like that. So it's like sometimes you have to fight to get, sometimes you have to be rude.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely.
at some point as well, it's like, is this beneficial? And
Hmm.
when he got old enough, it was like, do you want to try this? We tried it, and he was like, no, I'm like, this is where it's at. I can do this. So,
Yeah.
uh, and then that I think just he was always a computer guy anyway, and that kind of led into making him more proficient at it.
When I
Uh,
worked at a job training program recently, I it was a job training program where they filled so the staff that actually worked there in offices were uh any age like late 20s and over, so like
mm,
25 and up. And then anybody that was in my position at the time, because I was 24 when I worked there, it was 24. I think it was like 16, so legal age to work all the way up until 24. And I was the oldest person in that whole group. So all of them were teenagers, and most of them were like high school students. And I just remember it feeling so much like school,
yeah,
even though I wasn't a student by then, well
yeah,
into my life. So it was like trying to fit in, but also trying to do what I was there to do. Nobody wanted to communicate with each other because everyone was just like, okay, got told to do this. They'd ask the question, get asked questions. They'd be like, I don't know, man, just like give me a job. Like I'm here to do what I need to do.
right, yeah,
Like it was never this like place to converse and be a person. So if you asked too many things, you were immediately weird and
yeah,
awkward. Um, but then at the same time, not to judge or anything, it would just be equally as hilarious because the people who would be getting offended by the fact that you're asking too many questions are like the people who have like black hair that's cut on purpose to be like seen and emo and clearly eccentric, and
yeah,
yet
yeah,
they're the ones that are bothered by eccentricism in the world.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's like yeah, you come across that and it's like oh, you thought this was for aesthetics? It's like, no, wait till you get a hold of me, the real eccentric, and then it's like, allow me to make you uncomfortable, It's
Right,
like,
yeah. We had a meeting one time where while I was working there, everyone had to be home and we were on Zoom. So we all got to see each other's houses and the rooms and whatever. And every single person that was there except for me and the actual like older staff member that was working there, we were all supposed to be wearing our uniforms on camera. And we're home, present, do what you got to do, but also keep in mind that you're still working, you know? And so I'm home, I'm doing my thing, I'm wearing my uniform, which was a t shirt. So it's a very fancy uniform, but I was wearing my fancy uniform t shirt that explained what I needed to do. And everybody else is literally like freshly waking up for the day. We had people wearing masks on camera, even though they're in their own rooms. We had somebody who was the person I kind of gave an example of. She's in her bedroom, and her whole bedroom is like matte black. The sheets look like shag carpet, and she's wearing like essentially a sports bra for a top, and just like looking like a very, very eccentric individual, and just staring there, and it's like the most insane stare the whole time because it's like not Lord of the Rings, Girl from the Ring kind of vibe.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm just like, all right, I'm trying not to laugh and like make fun of all these people, but at the same time, we have somebody who's 16 and they look like they're from the 90s with their afro perm.
yeah,
And then everybody else is trying to do what they got to do, but everyone is their own unique character. And then my job, along with everybody else's, is to just sort through the books because it was a bookstore, so everyone's doing a little bit of everything. I'm sorting through the books, I'm doing whatever. I was one of their best sorters, even though we were all able to go at our own pace. And then um, when it comes down to the thing that actually changed everything, which made so many of us quit, including myself, they come out with this new technology or whatever, and it's like pre scanning the books before they get sent to the people who are in charge of scanning the stuff in the first place so that they can be accepted into the system. Because before that was happening, they were doing that prior to when we worked there, and then they were like, "Okay, training you for COVID time," and
Yeah.
now we're just like doing it this way. And then randomly, like a few months in, once we got approved to like no longer have to do that, they just come out and they're like, "All right, we have to scan everything, blah blah blah." But here's the problem: the scanners don't accept any of the books, so good luck.
They just close the door and run away. Like,
And then we're having to do that, and they were yelling at us every day for not ending up with the right amount of books on a cart because their scanners are useless
yeah,
and
yeah.
can't accept what they need.
That's
And yet we're going as fast as we can, and we're just like getting rid of everything that's donated to us. I'm like, what on earth is this system? And it got people, I kid you not, it got people to go on strike because they weren't listening to us when we were complaining and being like, all you have to do is make that one change by going back to what we had before, which worked. You guys are selling books for like $2 and they're used books, and you're complaining that no one's buying them. No one reads. You know what
yeah,
I
right.
mean?
Yeah,
Be happy
yeah.
that you're selling on Amazon.
The
Like, it could have been a great position, and it was for what it was, but the staff members were just like not communicating. And I guess my point to that random rant was just like, it's funny when you have to be the one to kind of like manage everything, even though you weren't in that position, and over explain and advocate for yourself at the end of the day, and people are still going to look at you and criticize you for asking a question.
oh yeah, definitely. And I mean that's like that's if I've, if I've learned anything, especially from the boys, like that's how it is. It's like every turn you just have to like we used to even make up packets before the first school day of the year,
Oh,
for
really?
especially for my oldest one, like we would make up a packet like, hey, this is how he learns best. This are the things that you're going to have a problem with that you need, and here are some strategies, and some teachers would be like, that's so helpful, thank you, and others would be like, yeah, whatever, it's like we're going to do it my way, and it's like, all
I'm
right, your
surprised my
funeral.
mother didn't do any of that with all the work that she did. I'm surprised.
you know, like I I realized that that kind of mentality, if you carry that over into other people, like like if I'm dealing with anybody, like whether it was patients, whether it's now on Zoom with like a business owner or something like
Yeah.
that kind of like simplification of just being like, no, everybody jokes about, does this need to be, a 30-minute meeting or can it be a 5-minute email or something like that? It's like everybody jokes about that, but it's like if you really just like treat people like that and you just be like, so many times I found that I guess it's probably a background in EMS, that was, instead of telling somebody what is happening or what you need to happen or what you're going to do, if you'll teach them just a super split second, like enough to be like, hey, you can't breathe because this is happening in your lungs. This is why, and this is what we're going to do to fix it. And
Right.
then
They can
it's not
understand
so
that.
scary, even if it is scary. And it's like if you apply that logic to anything, people are so much more willing to shut up and get out of their own head and just like understand where you're coming from. And if they don't, then it's like, maybe you're wrong. So,
Yeah.
but at least it takes a lot of that, like that assumption out because that's like, that's like you said, it's bouncing back to something that it's like, I know we were doing it efficiently, but we're going to do it this way now. Well, why? Because that's the way we're doing it. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
it's funny how like you're saying, if you go too deep into it, they get offended by it, but if you don't, and you kind of just summarize it to talk to their lingo, they'll be like, "Oh, I get it now."
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a fine art, to, uh, my dad called it carnival barking. Some people call it
Carnival barking.
bullshitting,
That's interesting.
but it's, some people call it manipulation. But it's just like the ability to size somebody up pretty quick and
Hmm.
conform your presentation to their understanding.
Yeah, yeah,
Whether that be like understanding like this person obviously is you know how this is how they're going to learn better. This is their demeanor, stuff like that, and you know put it on a level that they can digest it, or sometimes where they think it's their idea, because sometimes that's what it takes
yeah.
too. It's like is it better to be right, uh, or is it better for the task to get done? Uh, you know, and sometimes it's just for the task to get done. So,
Yeah, true. There's a time and place for everything.
yeah, it doesn't taste very well. Uh, it doesn't always
Yeah.
help for our ego, but sometimes, if it gets the goal, sometimes that works. But
There have been times too, like it was interesting when you were talking about how your oldest really adapted better once he got online versus just like in person all the time with things. I can heavily relate to that as well. Back in 2020, when the world went crazy,
yeah,
um, we all had to, of course, adapt to that. And that was when I started joining Twitch, believe it or not. I don't live stream on there, but I do watch stuff pretty heavily. I actually got my recap the other day on Twitch, and it was like, "How many days have you been on Twitch this year? 360. How many hours have you put into it? 625,000." Like it was just like insane amounts of numbers, and
yeah,
I was like, "So if I were to live stream that amount of times, y'all would know everything about me."
right,
You
right.
know
I'm
what
just
I
gonna
mean?
strap a GoPro on. Yeah, exactly.
Um, but that location alone, like I have known more people because I don't socialize with people. I've known from podcasting and through Twitch. Gotten to know more people than I have on any other platform.
Yeah,
And not only that, but in real life too.
yeah,
And it's also taught me in a way of how to communicate in modern day time.
yeah. It's
So that's been helpful. Are the
it's
animals around at all? I thought I saw you looking at somebody earlier.
Yeah, I've got a sleeping cat here that every once in a while stirs and like gives me a condescending look. And
I want to see.
he is massive.
Oh, he's cute.
He's,
I
I
love
think
animals.
I don't know. Last time we weighed him, he's just a Goliath. He's just like I don't know if it's like at first
Does
we're
he
like,
like to be
man,
held?
no, not by me.
Not by you.
Me and
He
me
seemed
and him
fine.
have an understanding that we mutually beneficial. Like I'll change a litter, and
Yeah,
he'll every once in a while give me a little like, meh, how's it going?
yeah. He's
But
just a mooch.
yeah, but then but yeah, the my 18-year-old is like they're joined at the hip when he's home from college. Like the whole
Hmm.
time he was growing up, he would carry him around like a baby, just like they just hung out together. And I was like, what are you like? What is this? It's like a
Yeah,
baby doll or something, but it's like this 30-pound cat or something, So,
yeah.
but
I love animals so much. I had a betta fish for a while, and I had actually been raising them for years.
yeah,
I started it when I was a teenager, and everyone back in the '80s had guppies, and I'm the one who has betta fish. And so I've had in total now about 11 betas in my life, and I love all the experiences because they're
yeah.
surprisingly filled with personality. Have you ever owned one?
No,
They really are. If you ever go to the pet store and you get to see the shelf where they're all aligned,
Yeah.
Just go stand near them and like say hello literally, and they will automatically start. They notice a person, they recognize audio of people talking to them, and they actually are very puppy like in a lot of
That's
ways.
crazy. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I always we were out this last weekend. I was photographing and doing video at a rodeo, and
Oh,
my boys
cool.
have never been interested in that kind of thing. And but my 6-year-old daughter was like, "Oh, I'm going. We're going." And that's the way she was. Like she learned very quick that everything from sheep to horses are really just big dogs. You know? So she was pretty cautious, but at the same time, once she learned how to be around them, she's just like, it's just a big dog. So, I
Yeah.
mean, in some points, a 300 or 400 pound dog, but still, like,
I wish I still had my beta. I'm gonna show you a picture of him when he was around. His name was I named him Mr. McWigglesworth because he was so wiggly and insane. I'm not even kidding, I'd leave the room and I'd go do what I had to do, and then I'd come back, like, let's say a few minutes later to an hour later, and he'd be like a dog, just all excited. Where'd you go? What's happening? Why did you leave me? He was that excitable. But let me go into my Google Photos. Where is he? And then we can call it a day, because unless you have anything else,
no, I think that's great. I really appreciate the opportunity.
I enjoyed this a lot too. It was very fun. Uh, this is actually a video of him. A couple days after I got him. Let me do a share screen. Yeah. Uh, can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what I'm looking at other than my own screen. I can't see you at all. Um, what are you able to see? Just the video with my
Yeah.
pointer?
Uh-huh.
All right. There's no audio, even though there is. Um, but I got him a couple of days after or before this, and he's right over here if you can see him.
Yeah.
And he was just the most wiggly guy, and I want to just make a video of him wiggling around. It's so cute. Like that's all he did all the time. Like he was just never ending. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Give me my food because he sees the container.
Yeah. 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 Sure does. Yeah.
And that was like a few days in.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he was great.
Well, I
How long have you guys
appreciate
had
it.
your pets for?
What's that?
How long have you guys had your pets for?
Oh, yeah, we've had him for maybe 7 years or so.
Oh wow, that's nice. So around
Yeah.
like 2016-ish.
Yeah, about then, yeah. So he's settled in. He's dug in,
Yeah.
like he's king of the castle. So he gets what he wants. So the
And you
we
guys
have
have a
an
dog, you
Australian
said?
Shepherd as well, a mini Australian
Oh God,
Shepherd,
wow.
and we've had him
Those
for
are the
3 or 4 years.
best.
So he's but he steers clear of the cat. He knows better. So
Really? I was gonna say
yeah,
I would have
the
loved
cat
to have
is
seen him today.
yeah, the cat is big enough that he stays clear. He knows that, like if you annoy me, you're put you in the dirt. So, but
I want a basset hound so bad. I want one for myself. Um, because they're just little lap dogs and they're Velcro dogs. They don't do anything except sleep all day, and then when they
that's
want to
pretty
be near
much,
you,
yeah,
they hang
pretty much
out.
all. Yeah, that's pretty much the extent. So no, yeah, it doesn't deviate from day to day.
Yeah.
Well, if you as you go through, if you need anything else from me, feel free to holler at me at any time or drop me a line.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed your time, and
Yeah.
thank you for being on the show. Pretty soon, I'm very excited about it because I could give you a little sneak peek, but I pretty soon the next person who is going to be coming on the show, believe it or not, is Donald Trump.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. So I'm interviewing him pretty soon, and it's going to be wild. Although he was like, I don't want anything on camera, and I was like, how are we going to do that if we're filming something? And he's like, well, can you at least just have it be audio? And I was like, sure. So
Yeah. Well,
that's what we're
at that
doing.
point, it's like, yeah, whatever you say. So yeah.
Yeah.
You
But
gotta do
that's what's going to happen.
gotta
And the crazy
conform.
thing is, I don't even like the guy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have. Yeah.
But
Me
yet,
either. But
but
not
yet,
even a
we're
little
doing
bit.
it.
But you got to do it. Yeah. If you get the opportunity, you got to do it. So.
Yeah.
Well, well, that's awesome. Well, I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Everybody, please go follow Mr. Tom Hibben wherever, and all the links will be in the description of this video eventually when it comes out in January at some point. And yeah, any last things you'd like to say before we go?
I don't think so. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, and it's been a pleasure.
All right. Well, be sure, everybody, to like and subscribe, and be sure to share this video with everybody that you know, because otherwise we will both find you, and if not, I will have him find you personally.
Thanks. All right, we'll see you later.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Well, 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 look at here. You thought that you were gonna be able to walk away and click on to something else and forget about this little podcast like it never mattered. Well, not today anymore, okay? You see, Amber decided that she wanted me, Donald Trump, to film or record the last bit of her episode because, well, honestly, I have no idea why. She doesn't even like me. But at the same time, I guess it's fine because she paid me and I love money. I really like money. And so here I am, finishing the great episode of The Great Escape. Or I think that's what this is called. I don't know, it's some kind of TV show. It's not The Apprentice. It's not Home Alone. It's not some other TV show or thing that I claim to be a part of. It's something a lot dumber. Something that nobody really gave a shit about. Something that no ratings really mattered because nobody really liked it. But apparently it's big enough that I had to be a part of it, or at least get paid to be a part of it, to hopefully endure some kind of revenue. But either way, sad as that is, here I am. And I'm here to tell you that at the end of the day, even though this podcast is apparently ending, even though it's probably for the best, Amber wanted me to let you know that we're doing a lot of really great things, okay? We've already caused a bunch of problems in society. We're only going to cause more problems in the near future because, lo and behold, Amber is actually going to be making a docuseries podcast that's coming up very soon. How soon? I have no fucking idea. The bitch barely posts as it is. But it's going to be soon. And I'm sure people will enjoy it. I'm sure people will hate on it. I'm sure people will post negative comments at some point and make it seem like it's a bigger deal than it actually is. Either way, it'll be entertaining, and we'll love it. So if you like the idea of listening to some sad person's life for the rest of your eternity because she doesn't even know how long it's gonna last for, by all means, listen away or watch away. It's definitely not on any place where you can get your podcasts because she's not that famous. But it's definitely on a platform called YouTube, which I have no idea about. I'm the fucking president, for God's sakes. But you know, here we are. So, anyway, if you're into that kind of stuff, and you're also into big, beautiful red buttons, then be sure to subscribe. And make sure that that red button is actually red and not black. Because at this point, it's important that you subscribe as much as possible to stay informed. And it's also important that you press that little bing 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 bell. Because as soon as you press it, you get all the notifications to understand what the hell is going on. I don't even know what the hell is going on at this point, but I'm being paid for it, so it doesn't really matter. And again, maybe you'll find her interesting. Maybe you'll understand a little bit more about why this person is the way that they are. Maybe you'll like her. Who knows? She's a little desperate. Who cares? I know I don't care. Anyway, I have to go cause more issues. Sleepy Joe Biden, once again, is causing more problems and showing up at my White House expecting people to follow his orders when all he wants is ice cream. Not anymore. America first. Docu-podcast second. Terrible podcasts never again. Go Fifi.